Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome back if you've been here before. I was filming outside, but it is another rainy and blustery day here in England and not familiar with the UK. 5 days of this is completely normal and we just adapt to our surroundings. So here I am back inside with my cardboard box because I've just moved house. So today's video is a great video if ever you've wondered about the effects or maybe been a bit apprehensive about taking a break from your diet and exercise regime. I think it can be quite a stressful thing, particularly if you have a back catalogue of progress and maybe you're wondering whether you'll lose that progress, whether you might regress, and whether that potential regression might lead you towards some unhappiness. I can provide an extreme example, which is a really interesting case study. I've touched on it on a previous video where I mentioned that I'm a professional athlete and I have gone from competing on a world/universe championship stage and collecting my trophy to not being able to reverse out of that stage preparation as you would normally expect to as an athlete, and going from 100 miles an hour to pretty much zero. I'll put some physique comparisons at the end of this video where we can have a look at the effects of the changes that I've had to make and what they look like for a physique for an athlete and also someone who is carrying a little human over around a 6-month period. So to give you an overview, I have gone from cardio sessions and resistance training sessions, step count, meal plan, tracking diet, and that kind of level of commitment to my sport, to a complete change in the way that my diet is structured, to not tracking anything or having any protocols. There has been no structure in terms of achieving a fitness or physique goal. It's purely been health driven. Even the things that I've wanted to do that might be considered quite moderate, I haven't been able to. So I am an example of taking life very, very gently at the moment. So mindset wise, I've been pretty okay because I came to terms with the fact pretty quickly that having an honest conversation with myself, my body wouldn't be an efficient machine for me to pursue my goals later down the line if I didn't give it some attention now. So for me, it was definitely an investment. I'm not saying it wasn't a difficult transition because I am very driven. I am very goal orientated. I had a thing in my mind that I wanted to work towards, and to suddenly have to change direction sharply, I think can be a little bit tricky. And an important thing for me was not having that time sucked up into absolutely nothing. So I've transferred that into other goals and intentions, and I've had to back off from any association that I would have in terms of regression concerns and not making immediate progress, because that progress will come more efficiently if I prime my body for performance later down the line. So rather than focus on what I can't do, I focus on what I can do, and all of those small things that maybe I hadn't valued before that I could implement now, and they would have a positive impact on the things that I want to achieve later down the line, became my focus, however small they were. So expect an adjustment period, because there definitely is one. I also had a great trip booked where it was the first time in probably years where I hadn't timed it where I'm on stage preparation, and I could finally fuel myself to do all of these exciting and energy fueled things that I also had to divert from. I'd actually gravitated to this location because it has a wicked gym with awesome machines, mountain hiking, the water park, surfing, paragliding I love, parasailing I love, and mountain cycling on suspension bikes. I had it all on radar to be doing, and I obviously had to divert from all of those things. So instead, I focused on mental strength, realigning myself, nurturing my body, learning to value a different pace whilst in the outdoor environment, or in how I move my body and mind. And it's not something that came naturally to me. I did feel the frustrations of not being able to go 100 miles an hour. And it does take another adjustment to slow down the speed of what you want to do, along with the type of things that you want to be doing. All of those things weren't really my thing at first because I was too busy wanting to do the other things that I loved more. I had no idea if I'd value or fulfill myself, but I've actually now found a balance that gives me inspiration, peace, happiness, and knowing that I can still feel good without those higher level achievement goals as I would have seen them in my mind. I explore at the most beautiful times, have more time to involve myself in the natural beauty and sounds of where I am. I use tools within society to feel good and rejuvenate. Some I'm not quite on board with. I can't sit still for that much. but I've definitely given everything a go to see what I do and don't like. I'll now find a suitable space to move my body and know that investing in good movement will contribute to any future sports and movement I embark on. I like having new flexibility to enrich my day around my commitments rather than having a non-negotiable time scale that kind of makes me have the runaround a little bit. I like the choice of when to move myself mentally or to take an opportunity when it arrives in a beautiful place. I love enjoying the fresh air and calmness around me now, which is something that I never thought I would hear myself say. There doesn't need to be a certain setting, no strict schedule, just self-focus and making sure that I have time for that, and that becomes my non-negotiable. And that can be whatever that feels like for you. I think making time for things that are fun within your new defined limits, obviously, and keeping yourself heart happy through that is brilliant. Gentle movements have been really good for me, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with my hat. Making time for coffee, self-improvement books, and the joy of socializing, digital sketching, all those things that now make my life whole that I was probably just too busy to include before this phase of my life, and I really do value doing them now. Now, food has been a very different setup for me historically. I've had coaches who utilise food plans, other with macros, prioritising single ingredient foods list. And for the most part, there's a template which is adhered to be optimal in my sport. I now value visiting my bakery for quality produce, enjoying a change from being very practical, which I've never minded, to be honest. I like structure and my Tupperware at the ready, but I really do love preparing fresh, colourful, local produce foods with healthy and varied ingredients. I've also had more time to explore places I've been working, which has just been unbelievable. I've really valued my time culturally, and I have an architectural background, so I've been able to absorb myself more and more in that, which has just been such heart happy stuff. I've explored further, deeper, and I've laughed much longer with the locals. I've made time for the people in my days too, which is something I was probably dashing off from a little bit before. I've remembered to take selfies, and I've dashed about a lot less, definitely. So on to the bit that you're probably the most interested in, which is physique changes. So here are a few photos as promised. Now, I was just in the early stages of reversing from show, so I don't have my normal amount of body fat. So the pictures are pretty clear at the beginning, but it's not a typical body fat percentage for myself. So there was a margin to add some more on there. We probably need to account for in the later photographs. I'm not hugely muscle dense, so didn't have much room to lose much of that, but I'm also experiencing hormonal changes, of course, and there's a lot of boob gains going on in there. There's some water retention, and of course I'm now made up of two humans with all that excess fluid and blood pumping around my body, which I didn't even know that was a thing before I was a pregnant person. No strenuous exercise involved for the 6 months between these photographs, purely just general movement really, no step count. I was on cardio and resistance training pre-show and just after my show, and then I've gone from that to absolutely zero. I didn't reverse anything very much after my show, so if anyone has a challenge to hang on to what they've worked for, it's me. As I mentioned, I was gaining fat after stage, as that's part of a necessary process. So the additional tissue on my glutes is expected anyway. I'll have dropped a margin of muscle and my fat percentage increased as things are so dramatically different. You don't get to keep everything for free, otherwise we'd never bother doing anything, would we? But this shows that if you focus on fueling your body for its current needs, you don't have to go crazy in one direction or restrict yourself unnecessarily in another. It's a process of learning to understand your means as they are now. Your body won't completely give up to gravity, and you can focus on priming yourself for even faster improvements if you decide to return to your previous goal. Life will divert you from many things, but I think I've successfully shown in this video that quite often the extremes of what we think might happen might not actually become a reality. And the best thing that you can do is take solace in the fact that you are serving yourself for a better you around the corner, and that you will move towards your goals much more efficiently by investing in yourself now. I really hope this video has been as interesting for you as it was for me putting that together. I didn't honestly know what I would find in the results. So thank you for sharing this with me, and I'll see you in the next one.